Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
This is Let the Record Show. Now, here are your hosts, Judge Richard Weinberg,
essayist and commentator Eric Levine,
and Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and the County Chair of the Suffolk County Party on Long Island. With us is our good friend, co-host, noted attorney, commentator, essayist, Eric Levine, and I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. And we're honored and privileged today to have Congressman Joe Cunningham, who is a member of Congress from Charleston, South Carolina. He's just written a new book. It's a very important book. It's called Life of the Party, How the Democrats Lost America's Trust and How They Can Win It Back. So I'll do my usual riff, which is I'm the House Democrat, Eric Levine.
That's a lie.
We'll do his panned response that that's not true. Jesse will say neutral, and I'll rely on Eric's wife to back my play. This is my problem, Joe, with the Democratic Party. I think it's been wrong on a lot of issues for a long time. It's the so-called 80-20 issues, and I'll let you address that. And just today, as we're taping with Eric and with Jesse, Congressman, there's been a leak of the so-called 2024 autopsy, which the Democratic National Committee tried to bottle up, but they're getting such flack about it that they had to release it or leak. Some of it was leaked. And the interesting thing is they're trying to blame it all on Joe Biden monopolizing all the research and all the polling and trying to protect your husband's efforts to run for a re-election. So I want to get your thoughts on just the thesis, the premise of your book, how our party, the Democratic Party, has lost its way, and what are the issues that they have to get their heads together on if they're really going to be a party that represents the American people. So, Congressman, your turn.
Well, Judge, I appreciate you having me on. That's a lot to unpack, and I think it may take more than 15 minutes and more than a couple of beers to get to the bottom of all that.
Well, then we'll bring you back. We'll bring you back.
I'm going to give it the old college try here. The DNC, up until today, refused to release the autopsy from 2024. But the good news is I think I pretty well diagnosed it in my new book called Life of the Party. And it's online, lifeofthepartybook.com. And I wrote this book. I've been working on this for a number of years. I wrote this book as a lifelong Southern Democrat. I live and breathe around folks who vote for Trump consistently. I understand why people have turned away from the Democratic Party. And so much of it of the book and the problems, of course, is the trust has been breached. And, of course, it was breached with Joe Biden running for re-election when he said that he would not. I was the first national Democrat to come on TV and say that he should not run for re-election. The party told Democrats not to believe what they saw with their eyes or heard with their own ears. So our trust was breached during this past election cycle. And so we have to win that trust back and earn the respect of voters again before launching into the policies and the ideas and the vision. Because as we all know, you're not going to be sold on anything unless you actually trust the messenger or the party that's attempting to sell that. So this book is blunt. It's honest. It's told from somebody who says the quiet things out loud. But I do it out of place for love for the Democratic Party, because, again, as a lifelong Southern Democrat, I grew up in Western Kentucky. I've seen what the big ideas and the bold visions of the Democratic Party can do for working class Americans, and I know what it can be again, but we've got a lot to fix in the meantime in order to get back.
Eric.
So welcome, Congressman. So you talk about messengers. Who are the Democratic messengers? Zohran Mamdani, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Graham Plattner, Abdul El Said, Jew haters all, anti-American all, communists all. So if these are the messengers of the Democratic Party, where are you? Seems to me the Democratic Party is a dead carcass that's been filled by the DSA. Why am I wrong?
Well, you're wrong in thinking that there is a leader of the Democratic Party when it's apparent there isn't. You saw from elections last couple nights that the Republican Party sure does have a leader, and people must kowtow to him. Otherwise, they face being ousted. And so that's become a loyalty test within the Republican Party, where it doesn't matter about values or vision. As long as you pledge your allegiance to President Trump, that's what ensures your survival. That's not present in the Democratic Party. In the next couple of years, I think there's going to be a lot of shifting within the party itself as to what that leadership actually looks like. But there's some repair work to be done, and that's certain. But starting that is earning back the trust of American people, acknowledging what has gone wrong and how priorities have been misplaced over the last number of years, and getting back to focusing on American people and working voters and tackling those issues. But look, there's a recent poll that came out recently showing that Democrats still have a 11-point advantage over Republicans. That tells you, I think, a lot on the job that President Trump is doing and how he's not being able to connect with people about his vision. I say that, but hey, I'm a equal party offender here. I say that and knowing that the Democratic favorability is in the 20s. Now, imagine the success that the Democratic Party could enjoy if it had a brand that was intact. And that comes back to the reason why I wrote this book is ideas on how we can repair the brand so we can be competitive. And look, I understand the party of the role of a county chairman or state chairman and to go out and root for your team. But everybody, even Republicans, should want a competitive Democratic Party.
So let me
tie a bow on this. If you want just a one-party system, there are other countries you can move to where you can enjoy that. And let me tell you, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, we both agree that the country's best served if you have a strong center left and a strong center right party and a two-party system. I agree with that. But putting aside the specific messenger issue, with the exception of John Fetterman and maybe Josh Gottheimer, everyone who runs for office in the Democratic Party, everyone, at some point in time, in order to get ahead in the party, either has to condemn Israel or be an outright anti-Semite. Or you have some people that are just too gutless to speak up to them, and that would be Chuck Schumer. But I have every candidate that's running for president, even though no one's declared yet, but we know who they are. They're all putting distance between themselves and Israel. They're all feeding into the lie of a genocide, apartheid, colonial occupying power. This is all garbage, of course. And you have outright anti-Semites like Zohar Mamdani that are endorsed by Hakeem Jeffries and Kathy Hochul, and there's silence from everyone else on the issue of his anti-Semitism. So whether or not there's a specific messenger, I'm talking about the specific message of anti-Semitism, which seems to be a consistent thread. You have Graham Plattner, who's running for senator in Maine. He's going to be he is your nominee. He has an SS tattoo. Nobody seems to care. Everyone just explains that away. So will you concede that the Democratic Party has an anti-Semitism problem that needs to be remedied?
James Carville just said that.
I think there's anti-Semitism runs on both sides.
I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. That is a cop-out. No, I'm not. I'm sorry, Richard. That is a cop-out. I'm asking specifically about the Democratic Party. I will say right now, here and now, Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite. I want him out of the Republican Party, and no Republican candidate should seek his endorsement. Will you say the same thing about Zohar Mamdani? Will you say the same thing about Graham Plattner? Will you say the same thing about AOC or Bernie Sanders?
Can I answer the question?
Well, you didn't let me answer. You asked it, but now I have. Go ahead.
Okay. I condemn anti-Semitism at every turn. You mentioned the name Josh Gottheimer, one of my best friends from Congress, who I worked out with every single morning. You'd be hard-pressed. You go back and you look at my voting record, you'd be hard pressed to find any Democrat that had more support for the state of Israel.
You are not a current candidate. I am talking about current candidates. No, I can't let you get away with that. I am talking about current candidates. Current candidates.
Let me finish. Again, you look at my record. You look at my support for Israel. Israel is an American ally, and they need to be supported. And we need to call out anti-Semitism at every single turn. There is a difference between condemning Israel, condemning the Jewish population, and also being critical of the prime minister. Those are two different things. You can condemn or criticize the prime minister of Israel without being anti-Semitic. That's a fact. You can have disagreements with President Trump or President Obama and still be pro-American. Those are facts. All right. So it'll be the voters to decide as to which candidates they want. I condemn anti-Semitism. I call it out when I see it. I don't have a problem with it. I know Josh Gottheimer does as well. I think we all should. We should call out racism and sexism when they exist.
Okay, here's a fact. Here's a fact. Zoran Mamdani does not believe the Jewish state of Israel has a right to exist. Is that anti-Semitism?
I believe the Jewish state does have a right to exist.
Is that anti-Semitism?
Yeah, it appears to be anti-Semitic at a whole state of the population. Yeah, that's not directed towards the prime minister.
So
but look, that's up to Graham Plattner is in Maine. That's up to the people of Maine to decide. Your question is, are these comments? And you're talking about a tattoo that Graham Plattner doesn't currently have. He had removed, to my knowledge. Reporters, I think, should ask them about their specific views, and people can vote accordingly on that. The Republicans have made, comments about different races or religions, still been elected. Some of them have been defeated.
Okay, so the DSA, with Chairman.
No. Excuse me. I would challenge you though to impugn an entire party based upon comments or offhand comments about certain individuals.
These are not offhand. These are not offhand comments.
You're getting some troubled waters here.
No, not at all. Let me finish my question. Let me follow up.
No. You interrupt. No. Excuse me. You had me off the guest, and you continue to interrupt me. You come south of Mason-Dixon line, we can teach you a few different manners on how to treat your guests, but do not impugn an entire party or entire brand based on individual comments, because I think you have to look yourself in the mirror and take a look at President Trump and what he says and what he does every day.
Yeah, there's been no stronger supporter for the state of Israel than President Trump.
Right,
but let me just ask one more question. I want to ask one more question. So the chairman of the DNC, Mr. Martin, believes that the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, are an important part of the Democratic agenda, of their big tent. The DSA does not believe the Jewish state of Israel has a right to exist. Do you think that portion of the party is anti-Semitic?
I'm not a socialist. I'm not part of the DSA. I'm a capitalist.
Okay. That wasn't my question, but okay.
All right. Jesse.
Congressman, how are you? I'm sorry. I was just trying to pick up all these pieces and such here. But I just want to pick up on what Eric is saying. Number one, I do believe that a strong two-party system is good for competition because it gives us a campaign of ideas. And regardless of anything else, we've seen that, in my case, it's been too easy to beat up the Democrats now with the way the DSA has been leading them both locally at the state level and throughout the national level. But let's just go back first a little bit through your book and then as we speak about the autopsy. There's been conspiracy theories about why the autopsy has not been released. At first it was supposed to be in October, then it was supposed to be in November by the Democratic National Committee. Now it was leaked out because it was not released. The problem is here, I guess we all see with the Democrats, is that number one, there is no leadership. Number two, there is no guiding force. Number three, there's no guiding principles. The guiding principles that have been moving forward have been those of a socialist, Democrat-led wing, far left extreme wing, that has really plummeted your party into all-time lows. Now, of course, we can't condemn one person or another on their comments and and whatnot. But we can condemn when the leader of the Senate Democrats has routinely been stating anti-American rhetoric, anti-capitalistic founding fathers rhetoric, and has been someone that has not been a supporter of Israel, despite the fact that he shares the same faith. So what I ask is, Democrats like yourself, the blue dog Democrats that I grew up with, don't exist anymore. So with your book, despite your book, and with this autopsy that's been leaked and such, where is the future of the Democratic Party, and does it have one, or is the future of the Democratic Party its present, which is a socialistic far-wing extreme group?
What I write about in this book is how a small minority, like what you're referring to, would be Mondami or someone else, garners a significant amount of press and attention. And they should not be the leaders. They should not be projected as the majority of the Democratic Party. Let me just, I have statistics in there. Let's take, one of these cultural issues, for example. Trans athletes playing in women's sports. The Democratic Party has been branded as being supportive of that, but when you dive into the facts and to the numbers, the vast majority of the Democratic Party are against it. Now, you have the extremes being the most vocal within the party, so that's the problem. And why is that? I believe that a lot of it comes back to gerrymandering. I believe that over 90% of our congressional races remain uncompetitive in the general election. I don't think anybody understands that better than you guys up in New York either. I mean, you guys had your case that got struck down by the, when Democrats overreached up in New York, and it got struck down by your state Supreme Court. When you eliminate competition in the general election, we've seen it time and time again. You have these candidates who either run to the far left or far right of their respective parties because that's how they win the primary. And they don't have to worry about pivoting back to the center. They don't have to worry about getting swing voters or moderates or independents. And so those are who serves in Washington, D.C. You get some moderates occasionally that come in there on a wave year. The district I won was a Trump plus 13 district. But those come and go. So I think both parties often get painted by their most extreme. And as you know, you all are in media, same loudest extreme and sometimes offensive things are what gets you on late night television. That's what gets the tweets and the followers, and those get packaged up into fundraising emails, and it's a cycle that perpetuates itself, all leading back to self-preservation for these politicians.
Well, I just need to I can see where you want to go with that in your book, but the facts of the matter are that the top elected Democrat in the country, Chuck Schumer, is part of that extreme group. He extols those extreme rhetoric, including allowing boys to play in women's sports. And the mayor of the largest city on the globe is spouting the same rhetoric, and they're govening that way. So I think that your fringe is now the majority in your party.
I respectfully disagree, and it goes back to the purpose why I wrote the book in the first place. When you disagree, and look, I've paid the price politically. I can tell you again, being the first Democrat to come out and say that Biden shouldn't run for re-election, being the first Democrat to say
that took courage, and I agree with you. That took courage.
You don't gain any friends, and I understand why more people don't do that. And to answer your broader question, there's such a disconnect between where our elected representatives are and where the general public is, especially where the average Democrat. I'm in South Carolina, right? And the black Democratic voters in the state of South Carolina are typically the most conservative Democrats there are, much more conservative than white Democrats. If the National Democratic Party were more in line there with cultural issues, I think the party would enjoy a lot more success. But, you have to get back to the question as to how is it that 73% of Americans thought that Biden should not run for re-election, but you had essentially zero representatives saying that publicly? And what kind of system is that where courage is not rewarded, but it's actually penalized. And that gets into a broader discussion about it. But drawing back to the book, the reason I wrote this book is because I do care about the party. I do believe that it has gone astray. I do believe that there are certain factions that have hijacked it, that have become the loudest voices, and they've been incorrect on certain stances, whether it be Israel, whether it be cultural issues and things like that. And look, I'm just a guy that's doing what I can in order to try to bring the party back so we can have a competitive system that brings out the best ideas, the best policies for the country we love.
Well, Congressman Cunningham, I have to say, I'm very pleased to have met you. I think you're the future, not only of the Democratic Party, but I think you're also the future of the country, because I believe you're absolutely correct, and Eric and Jesse and I all agree, you have to have a competitive two-party system. It should be a party of center-left and center-right on each side. We should not have the radical extremists of the left or the right control the party. People should be speaking out with courage and with vigor to try to do the right thing. We have to live in this country and bring it forth for generations to come so it's secure, it's protected, it's a land of opportunity. And I think your book is a very important step in that regard. It's good to know that there's still common sense Democrats alive and well. It gives me hope for my party and for the country. The name of the book is Life of the Party, How Democrats Lost America's Trust, How They Can Win It. And I look forward to your success on the book and your success in elective office in the future. If someone wants to get the book, how can they get it?
They can go online at lifeofthepartybook.com, or it's also on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other places you can find your books. Again, I'm grateful for the conversation, grateful for the opportunity. I can tell you, speaking to a Republican in New York, probably feels the same ills that a Democrat in South Carolina feels, and understands the systemic hurdles, I guess, whether it be through gerrymandering, or here in South Carolina, we got straight ticket voting, where you walk into a ballot box and the first question they ask you is, you want to vote Democrat or Republican? And so if you're running for local office, you don't get considered. The person just comes in and votes for the party, which, again, doesn't benefit our country, and it just benefits the political machine. But look, there's a lot of work to do. I actually think there's a lot of things that Americans agree on across party lines. I'm for term limits. I'm for age limits. I think we need new blood in politics. And I still believe this is the greatest country on earth. And the idea is, how do we improve it and leave it in better hands for our kids than how we inherited it from our parents.
Well, Congressman, on that, we all agree that this is the greatest country on earth, and it deserves better leadership on both sides of the aisle, and that it's very important for the center to hold.
Thanks again, Congressman Joe Cunningham, author of the new book, and I hope it's a bestseller, Life of the Party, How Democrats Lost America's Trust, How They Can Win It Back. It's a great pleasure to meet you, and look forward to meeting you live and in person and having you back on the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Likewise. Y'all enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and remember the reason.
Thanks again, Congressman.
Let the Record Show is on the air.